Hello and welcome to the Desolation of Smaug Part 2 review, in which I will be talking about spoilers. So the Desolation of Smaug, I got back from that the other day, as I said, and I was touting it to my friends all day. I was going, you know what, it's an amazing movie, it was a great movie, I liked it a lot more than the first one. And then I started to think about it. That's my thinking face. What was so good about it? So one of the main things that really did not help my viewing experience of the movie was the fact that the climatic fight did go on for a long time, and when you get to the end, it's this big massive, let's melt some gold and we'll use this liquid gold to try and burn Smaug, and it was so ridiculous because I'm going, okay, they got this gold, and then Thorin throws this wheelbarrow into the gold to go sailing down to the next place he needs to be, and either the thing would melt, it would burn, or the heat would be going through that and being conducted against his body, and he would be burned alive. Not to mention at the end when he's taunting Smaug, and Smaug comes over to kind of be like, "Oh, you did not just say that." At that point, Thorin leans away and they break open this big rock thing, and all of a sudden there's this big gold dwarf statue of liquid gold, and you're like, huh. It was really weird and out of place. I didn't really get it. To its credit, adding in the Editorial was a really good choice. Strange how she had the Disney princess kind of love syndrome when she fell in love with Keeley, but you know what? I can let it slide for the most part. I mean, there's so many other things to look at in this that I don't mind it too much, and it did give her more of an actual reason to help them at the end of the movie when they needed help. Also, the cameo with Legolas really did not bother me. The Frodo one bothered me because of the throwaway cameo that had nothing to do with the movie. But in all truth, Legolas' cameo, really, really good. He was actually important. He actually played a role. My one question, though, is why is he so against dwarves right now? Because in this movie, it's more of a, "Oh, dwarves, I hate your guts. I want to eviscerate your ugly faces." Metaphorically speaking. And in The Lord of the Rings, it's more like, ugh, dwarves. It's not the same level of hate. And it's a little bit weird to me, but I might be the only one who was really hung up on that fact. But then there's the whole thing where the special effects just look so weird. I mean, you've got Legolas bouncing on dwarves' heads when they're going down the river in the barrels to get to the other side, and he can fight off the orcs, and that just was comical and weird. And then when Bombird breaks open his barrel and he's got these weapons, he's like, "Ha ha!" In all truth, the girl sitting behind me was like, it was so ridiculous. There's also the fact that orcs are supposed to be avoiding sunlight like the plague, and yet these orcs are totally fine. It makes the whole fact that the Uruk-hai in the Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring are like, well, we don't care about sunlight, we're good, and that's what makes us really special. It makes it not at all relevant, because the orcs do it anyway. So why is that such an important achievement? We don't know, because orcs apparently don't really care about that. And Bard, I mean, they added a lot more for Bard to actually do, and I mean, I understand why, because it's better than having a throwaway character who suddenly does something amazing, and you're like, well, who is this guy? But at the same time, he was flip-flopping so much in his emotional interest in the story, it just did not quite settle right in my stomach. I wasn't quite sold on it. Not to mention the fact that he looks like Orlando Bloom, and he sounds like Orlando Bloom several times. And when I say Orlando Bloom, I'm not talking as Legolas, I'm talking as Will Turner from Pirates of the Caribbean. I mean, it's not, but it just looks like it so much. And there were other illogicalities, like how the dwarves decided, okay, we'll bribe Bard and he'll smuggle us into the city, and then pulling out all this money, and it's like, okay, you were just arrested by elves. The elves kind of took away your weapons and your armor, but you got to keep your money? I don't think so. Stephen Fry's character was kind of, he was the master of the Lake Town area, but he didn't really have any major role except to make sure that Bard was thrown in jail for dramatic tension at the very end of the movie. So, why? Why include him? This is mostly stuff I talked about with the person who was sitting next to me after we watched the movie, and I was like, oh yeah, there's this whole bunch of stuff that didn't actually make that much sense. So why did I enjoy it so much? The only reason I can really think that I was really enjoyed it is the fact that it's, in my opinion, better than The Unexpected Journey. Because The Unexpected Journey, let's just be honest. No. There's just so much wrong with it. There's not enough right. Granted, there's so many things that didn't make any sense in this one either, but I'll let most of that slide. There's still a lot that's not quite right. I mean, the Hobbit movies, they could be just as good as The Lord of the Rings if they were in the same tone and style as The Lord of the Rings. Because the action is really comical and video game-ish. The logic is not all there. And the changes to the pacing does not work when you add all this information that is just weird. Or you have these cameos which are unimportant. So when you look at it that way, it has a lot of work that needs to be done still. But The Desolation of Smaug is still a fun movie. And I still recommend it, and I still enjoyed it more than An Unexpected Journey. So take that for what it is, and hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, cheerio, and farewell.